Hello, you're welcome to this edition of my Liberation Gospel, Buhari's Army. Your killer can never be your healer. Well, I'm making this Liberation Gospel in view of the development in the Southeast. The last 2 days, there have been pandemonium in schools over the military coming to schools to inoculate or vaccinate, though there have been conflicting reports coming out, from different sections of the people involved, both the Nigerian army, various schools that were involved in the aforementioned vaccination or inoculation. And in this case, there were situations and statements coming from pupils that they were forced. I don't want to say quote people verbatim on this, but it's important to look at the issues surrounding the development. There are some important questions to be asked. This is coming. I tagged this Buhari's army. Your killer can never be your healer. In the sense that a few weeks ago, the Operation Python, or whatever they call it, by the Nigerian army, were in the Southeast killing protesters. You all know what happened in Abia State and River State. So whether you support IPOB or not, this is not the case of IPOB. This is the case of when did the Nigerian army become vaccination officials, that they are going to schools to vaccinate. Although I just listened this morning from reports, one report emanating from a Nigerian army source, that they offered free medical care in Ovim I think of him should be in Isugwato in Abia State, that their medical, free medical give out is for elders and not pupils. So my question is, how come children, because I listened to kids talking about that the military were in their schools, and some teachers had corroborated to that assertion that they were military. I just watched a video from a school in Imo State where parents, apprehensive parents, were at the gates and the school was locked up. It was even said that the Imo State government was involved in the forceful inoculation or vaccination of kids. So my question is, when did the Nigerian military become vaccination? Officials, when did they start taking up that task? I mean, most of us who grew up in Nigeria were involved in that. I remember in St. Peter Clever Seminary when we are in school. There were few times we were inoculated. It wasn't the Nigerian army. So, but all these things, it boils down to, that's why I called it Buhari's army. Your killer can never be your healer, in the sense that the Nigerian military is having a problem. It's having a problem at the moment. There's crisis of confidence, and it's the military that is supposed to be an institution, a professional institution that is not biased, is biased. We've seen involvement of the Nigerian army in settling scores of the president and his people. We've seen, we saw, just recently, 2015 or so, when Shiites were massacred in Kaduna. The Nigerian army, that is too far. That's the road too far that they went to. And the same army came to the southeast and killed protesters, armless protesters who had no arms, who were just protesting and agitating, demanding to be heard in view of their movement for self-realization, which on a normal circumstance, it shouldn't warrant the military coming in and shooting people. So, and the same military that is peopled by a section of the country is coming to give immunization or inoculate children. This is Nigeria. At the moment, the country is tensed politically and otherwise. And there's no trust on the current government. There is no trust on the current government. What are they? Yes, Chidi Henry Jogo, please, the drugs go to analysis. Yeah, I want you to contribute. I'm going to read out your contributions and your name, because this is very important, because these kids are the future of the Southeast. At the moment, the Southeast has problem with Muhammadu Buhari. I don't know if people need to be reminded. The Southeast has problem with Buhari. They don't trust Buhari. Buhari has shown time without number that he doesn't love the Southeast. He doesn't like that. He made that statement. He hasn't shied away from that. And the same Buhari is coming with his army to inoculate children of his enemies. What do you expect? Someone came to my wall and was writing and tried to write rubbish. I just blocked him, because some people looks like their brain, they are now brain dead. Buhari, who from his body language shows you that he doesn't like the Southeast and the South, especially the Southeast. He has never hidden from that fact. And look at what the Nigerian army under his goon, who is the chief of army staff at the moment, what they did to Shiites. Shiites who just blocked the road, and they were massacred in their hundreds. And these same people came. It's not many of you will just been. In fact, the issue is yet to die down, and they are embarking on immunization in schools. I mean, who is a fool? Whatever, even if their intentions are good, there's no trust. We've lost that trust. There's no trust. We don't trust Buhari. So you don't expect parents to just keep calm when their children, when army personnel are showing up trying to inoculate the children. What are they inoculating? Which drug is that? Where was it tested? And 3 state government has made public statement that they are not aware. They are not aware. They weren't consulted. In as much as we're having problem, we even have problem with our state government. I mean the governors. But they've been bold enough to say they never sanctioned this. So why should the military go ahead? This is lawlessness. I mean, you don't do that in countries. You can't inoculate a child without the consent of the school authorities, proprietors, if so to say, if it is a private school, and parents or guardians. I mean, you don't have authority to inoculate any child without the consent of the parents. So these are the things that happen in the country, whereby an army will just rise up and start shooting protesters. You know, anything can happen. So this is why I will always advise parents not to let these guys inoculate even those who are taking, I don't know, the elderly ones. Because we don't trust Buhari. We don't trust Buhari. If Buhari sees a way, he will kill more of our people. This is not a piece of propaganda, but the facts are on ground. It's unfortunate. Somebody just said he became disappointed in following me, thinking that what I'm trying out lately is a piece of propaganda. But what is propaganda about that the military killed armless protesters? Is it propaganda, or is it propaganda that the same military killed Shiites, people who are armless? They never had a gun, neither did they have bombs or grenades, but the military shot them. So why should you trust this same military? I mean, I want you to use your common sense. Why should you trust this same military personnel that shoots people, that go into people's house by house in Aba, bringing people out, shooting them? These same people are coming to inoculate children of those they are shooting. I mean, we should be using our senses. Buhari should know that we don't trust him. It's just the fact that everything is by force. He is at the helm of affairs. So he's using institutions of states. This broadcast, like I've always said, if you are here not to contribute articulately, I'm going to block you. Mohammed Bashiru Sarki, this is not a place to say, to make things anyhow. If you want to ask questions, ask fundamental questions. I'm going to answer that. But if you are here to talk on issues that are not concrete, you are going to be blocked. So I want you to challenge me with facts. I want you to challenge me with facts, not just come in here. I'm not against you if you support Buhari, but I want you to bring up issues, facts. First, this Nigerian army killed Shiites. Are you not aware? We all are aware. This is a time. Things can't be hidden these days. We are aware of how Shiites were massacred by the Nigerian army just for blocking the road. Just for blocking the road. Is it enough? Is it enough to kill people? I mean, that you are protesting, seeking for self-realization. Is it enough reason to kill? So, and these same people that you killed, you are trying to inoculate their children. So how do you expect them to trust you? I mean, how do you expect them to trust you? How do you expect them to keep quiet? They don't even know the drugs you are administering on their kids. There was no enough sensitization. I mean, why didn't you sensitize before inoculation goes on? There's great amount of sensitivity, you know. I mean, sensitization. You have to announce it through various forums, churches. In the case if there's mosque, you know, marketplace, we have ways to announce. Tank cry, you know, meeting, having meeting with opinion leaders, chiefs, essays, and cohorts. Why didn't the military embark on that before going into this, you know, inoculation or vaccination? You know, this is why people are afraid. People are afraid because the regime is not sincere. In some things, the regime has been is riddled with lies. You know, they say something and do another thing. You know, we've been seeing that. Yeah, that's why APC is very unpopular. I mean, PDP is not a saint. Others are not saint. But APC, so far, they've been oozing lies. They've been oozing lies. So we want progress. We want progress. I mean, inoculation and vaccination is not a bad thing for children, but there need to be sensitization. You need to sensitize the people, and we are not used to military people inoculate. I mean, I received mine when I was in secondary school. I received when I was in St. Peter's Clever Seminary. I never saw the military. You know, we know about these things, so you don't have to try to ram things down our throat. No, you can't. We will resist that, even with our life. This is, and when we talk about progress, people are saying we don't support this agitation, self-realization. What is a credible alternative? Have you proffered a solution? Buhari, has he brought out, I mean, solution to the current problems in the country? What are his panacea? We are talking about restructuring. How are they going to do these things? Because at the moment, there's mutual distrust. The Southeast doesn't trust the Buhari government. They doesn't. So why do you expect them to take your inoculations? We don't know the drugs you are trying to inject into the children. We don't know the source of that. And you didn't sensitize. You didn't want to sensitize. Why didn't you want to inform the people? Because you know you've killed their people and you don't have the face to do that. I mean, this is more or less a Greek gift. So nobody should question parents why they withdrew their children. They shouldn't be questioned because parents don't trust the regime. They don't trust the regime. The regime can do anything. They can do anything to survive. They can do anything. And Buhari has shown that he's very biased. He's a biased guy. He doesn't want to even consult people. He thinks he can do anything, forgetting that power is transient. We're just looking at development, and we'll see how things will go, because tomorrow he will be out of power, and the way he's dealing with people, he will be dealt with, because when you throw the ball to the wall, it will come back to you. So nobody should blame parents, because parents are interested that their children live, because the way the Nigerian army is run today, it's no longer the Nigerian army that most of us respect. Nigerian army that is supposed to be a professional arm of states that is not biased in most countries. I mean, in countries that say they are civilized, it's just a handful of developing countries or sub-Saharan countries that you see the military is easily manipulated. I mean, there are the military is supposed to be a non-aligned institution of states, not siding anywhere. But in this case of Buhari, Buhari has constantly used the military to settle scores. He has used the military to push his religious agenda. The Shia issue is a clear example. So, I mean, he who goes to equity goes with clean hands. So he has no reason to tell us that he is not biased. He's very much biased. And there are a couple of questions to be asked, but anybody who is sensible enough will understand that there is more to this fascination. There's more to this first, although I heard from a source that the free medical treatment is for the elderly. Then what are the military guys doing in primary and post-primary schools if it is for the elderly? And why are state governors not consulted? Because the Anambra governor has issued a statement, even countering the military statement. You see, that is what we are suffering with this government. This government doesn't understand that it is operating in a democratic setting. Buhari doesn't really understand that the governor is supposed to be the chief security officer of the states. Whatever happens to the states, he or she needs to be informed. But unfortunately, the case is not the same. So, brothers and sisters, I think if you have your kids, you don't let your kids take their first inoculation or whatever they call it, because we don't know what they are injecting into children. So far, the military has shown its bias as long as this government is concerned. That's why I tagged it Buhari's army. Your killer can never be your healer. We don't trust Buhari. Yes, I know he's profiled of goons across the southeastern states. I even heard that the Imo State government in that first inoculation is even helping out, forcing kids to take their vaccination or whatever they call it. And when we talk about this monkeypox, it's still in Bayelsa. There are a lot. The country, the problem is that Buhari is a confused man. He doesn't have a panacea to solving Nigeria's problem. So he's just dealing with issues, what I call misplaced priorities. There was a case raised against Mike Baru by his Minister of State for Petroleum. He hasn't made a statement. This morning, before I started this, I just saw from one of his online goon that the vice president Osinbajo claimed that he signed the contract. He signed the contract to the Maikanti Barrow's $1 billion awarded to their cronies. And what I now ask, even if they are now brought their cannon folder, Osinbajo, to defend that undefendable, fraudulent case, that means this government doesn't practice what it preaches. They said it's an anti-corruption government, but that is a lie, because it means the Minister of State for Petroleum wasn't aware that money of that sort is being ferried around in his minister. I saw that, but I didn't want to take a closer look at that. But we know that this government is not a genuine government. This government is a fraudulent government. It's not going to do anything for the country, and this is why things like this vaccination should be revolved. I mean, they should channel these resources to the appropriate offices. We have agencies that inoculate children, not the Nigerian army that is shooting armless Shiites and protesters. When that is a great gift. I mean, because if Buhari's army will be shooting down people, getting into rooms, bringing them out and killing them, what will stop them from injecting rubbish into people's body? So they don't need to be trusted. And this is not about propaganda. It's not propaganda. I've always said it. I have my facts when I say things. The activities of this government has rubbished whatever they've been preaching to the people. I mean, some of their defenders, they have no. I mean, they've run out of energy to keep defending this government, a government that is fraudulent, but they pretend as if they are good. We thank God we are in the age of social media, that people are getting to be aware of what is happening. The last government of Jonathan Goodlaw, whether it is a nonsense government or a good government, it's achieved one thing. It started bringing out things to limelight. It started I mean, you know, it didn't run government, a hidden government. It was running an open government. Who didn't hear when Jonathan was being insulted? Jonathan was insulted for every day. In fact, in the later part of his government, it was insult every day. Caricature. What about his wife? You know what the insults or the criticism Buhari is receiving today? He hasn't even received half of what Jonathan received. But Jonathan just shrugged it off. Like an intelligent man, he just ignored and kept doing, because Nigeria is a soured soup. He was trying to cook the soup and bring it to test, heat it. But unfortunately, he was still surrounded by Boko Haramites. He said it, that some members of his cabinet are sympathetic to Boko Haram. Did he not say that? But he was trying to pamper Nigeria. Unlike Buhari, look at what Buhari is doing. Buhari wants, if he has his way, he will kill all his enemies, because he's very vindictive. He's a vindictive person. All the people that have that aired against him, virtually, they are answering one question or another. If they have not been arrested and released, there's trump up charges against them. And he himself, he'll be using EFCC, hounding people. If you're a businessman and your company is threatened, they'll use EFCC to come against you. And before you know it, you change and become an APC member and become a saint. APC is now a party for runaway criminals in PDP. They're now in APC and they are saints. This is a government that its EFCC has been discovering millions and millions, totaling into billions. Now, where have all this cash gone? But because this is Nigeria, a country whereby you don't ask questions, a country whereby when you raise fundamental objection, they want to crucify you. A country whereby even if you say, look, I am no longer going to be part of this country because this country is not carrying me along, I have grievances against this government, they will want to shoot you. A country whereby you just have ordinary placards to show this government is a bad government, you'll be shot. Is this a government? A government that will send its soldiers that are meant to protect citizens, whether they believe in the incumbent government or not. The job of the soldiers is to maintain the territorial integrity of the country. They're sending soldiers to get involved in internal affairs, to start shooting protesters, to start shooting people who have religious differences with the government of the day. So you see, this is the problem. This is why a government that is using the country's armed forces to serve a personal purpose. The army that is supposed to be an unbiased, a non-aligned institution of the state that will come in as a last resort. Now we don't trust the army. We don't trust the Nigerian army. He's now using the army to go and give free medical, to go and sort the monkeypox. According to them, it's a smaller variation of smallpox to inoculate peoples. You say you're president and a section of the country doesn't trust you. You want to inoculate the children and they're all running away, even where they've not gone up to. They don't want it. Because you've been killing them. So how do you expect them to trust you? It's terrible. So this is where this government has lost. If it is a modern country, I mean, Buhari he should just throw in the towel, because one, we've lost confidence in him. We don't want him to continue because he's very corrupt. He pretends as if he's not corrupt, but he's corrupt. I mean, what else will happen that we know? We will be convinced that Buhari is not corrupt. The NNPC $1 billion issue is there for everyone to see. Even for supporters of Buhari, they've seen that this government is not sincere. It's a desperate government. Do I say that maybe he's hijacked by a cabal? A cabal that doesn't even like the country. The most unpatriotic people. You appoint a minister, the minister doesn't have access to the president, the minister is not free. You know, the Nigerian system, it's sickening. It makes people sick. It makes people sick. I mean, you just bump into school, you want to inoculate using intimidation. Parents are not even, you don't even care. No rule of law, nothing. And you want people to obey you. You want people to respect the system. When you don't respect it, that same system that should be guiding a normal society, making sure that there's law and order and norm. It's terrible. This is terrible. So it's better that this military withdraw their distance, because parents, you must have to protect your children. You don't know what these guys are injecting into the children. Even the elderly ones that are doing that, I mean, those close to that, close to them, need to know what the kind of medicine they are administering. As far as Buhari, and as long as Buhari is in charge, we are not safe. We are not safe, because he has turned the Nigerian army into something else. He has turned the Nigerian army into a gang that deal with his opponents. I won't be surprised if they are used in elections, forthcoming elections in Anambra State. You will want to use them to go and rig the elections. He's going to use them to rig the elections. So we need to advise, if the military want to inoculate, they should send the resources to the appropriate quarter. We have Ministry of Health. Under Ministry of Health, there are various agencies, that inoculate kids. Hospitals are there. Health centers. I mean, we have proper bodies that does this, not the military that are shooting people, that are killing people, that have no value for our lives. Many guys are still missing since the Operation Python dance came to the southeast. There are many activists still missing. Many who came out to protest, they are still missing up to today. Where are they? The Nigerian army under Buhari will shoot protesters and take the cops. Imagine, look at their strategy. They will shoot protesters and take the cops. This never, imagine, so that there won't be any evidence against them. So that is very, we are taking record of all these things, taking notice of their modus operandi. So when you start telling us the Nigerian army under Buhari, no, this is not the Nigerian army we do know. The Nigerian army, we know that fought in Liberia and Sierra Leone. It's a professional army that made Nigeria proud. I mean, we've had dictators in the past. We've had governments that were unpopular. But none of them were like Muhammadu Buhari, that used the Nigerian army to settle scores. They used the Nigerian army to settle scores, to kill their enemies, to intimidate their enemies, to shoot protesters, to kill those that have have differences in religion. I mean, we have seen that. So we cannot trust the Nigerian army as long as Buhari is in charge. So whatever happens, parents need to look into that and safeguard their children. Buhari's army is a biased army. It is not the typical Nigerian army that we can trust, because the army has they've so far shown their biased nature. They've been fighting Buhari's wars. Buhari has shown, he has even brought back many Boko Haramites, those that were retired. They were thrown out from the Nigerian army in the last regime since the return to civil rule, but Buhari brought them back. You can imagine, there was bomb blast in Jaji. Were you not aware? During the Jonathan regime, there was bomb blast in Jaji. I mean, there were occasions that sabotage reigned during the fights against Boko Haram when Jonathan and Yaradua were in charge. But today, Buhari has brought back some of these guys that were retrenched. Some of these guys that were weeded out because they were sabotaging the effort of the Nigerian army. And today, this same Nigerian army is coming to the east. The people that have been man enough, they've been strong enough to say, Buhari, we don't want you. And he's coming to give us great gift, free medical. Did we tell him that we are dying? That we cannot sort our medical needs? There's no need pretending. There is no need pretending. We don't trust Buhari. Until Buhari leaves office, the Nigerian army won't be trusted unless they change. But they cannot change because so far what is happening in the life of this government has shown you that they cannot change. If Buhari cannot make a statement over the contract awards running into billions of dollars by the group general manager of NNPC, when he has received an internal memo from his Secretary of State Petroleum, then Nigeria is in trouble. Nigeria is in trouble. And that is the case. So parents must have to be careful. Don't let your children be inoculated because you don't know what they are putting into your children. If Buhari can send his army to kill innocent protesters, is it kids and elderly people that he cannot kill? If he can send his army to kill Shiites that just block road, they blocked the road, nothing. I mean, have you seen where this happened? I was listening to the Chief of Army Staff account. I mean, when he was narrating that, I think it was the panel set up. I watched it in Africa World newspaper. That the Shiites blocked the convoy of the Chief of Army Staff, and therefore they should die in their hundreds because they blocked the road of the Chief of Army Staff. Therefore, they deserve death. That is Nigeria. Thank you very much, Victor Omar Mado. I'm just turning in, continue with your good work. God bless you. God bless the Biafra people in our country, Nigeria, until the country is either restructured or Biafra gets its independence. Exactly. So, but we still have to be very cautious with the Buhari regime. I've always said it. That's the issue of Biafra is resonating is as a matter of leadership. It's because of leadership problems. I've always said it that Nigeria is a very big place that can accommodate everybody. We have enormous resources. I mean, we should be happy. as Nigerians, this is the biggest market in Africa. A country that has enormous and abundant resources, but the worst emerge as leaders. Look at Buhari. Buhari is an example of the worst emerging as Nigeria's leaders. I mean, a country, come to modern nations, look at how they are planning, even if, look, they're not together. And we must not love ourselves the way like husband and wife. Even husband and wife have occasions to quarrel. But, you know, if we have common goal, destiny, we believe in live and let live. Let everybody benefit. Let the best emerge. Whether you are Fulani, whether you are Igbo, whether you are Yoruba, whether you are Benin, whether you are Ishikiri, Urobo, or Asian. I mean, the country will be okay for everyone. The rise for the agitation of Biafra is because the country is not working. And some people are losing patience. Some people are losing patience. You know, nobody just wake up and say, hey, Biafra. Biafra is not an idealistic thing. It's not an idealistic thing. It's as a result of failure of leadership in the country. Leadership. Okay, look at, we're in a democratic setting in Nigeria. People are protesting and saying, look, they are tired of this system, or they want to have their own country. And you start shooting them. So why should they believe in you again? I mean, people no longer have a right to even demonstrate far right in a democratic system. These things weren't even done in military era. And look at the same man. When we say Buhari is a demon, it looks as if we're insulting him. No, I respect his old age, but I detest his attitude. He lacks the character of a leader. It's not about being privileged to get into the military. Then there was Q, and they put you there, and they saw that you are not competent, and they removed you. Then you now have the CV. You now have the CV. After that, Abacha came on and appointed you Chairman Petroleum Trust Fund. You know, as a head of state, there's a position you attain in the society. People always look up to you to give you something, whether you want it or not. So Buhari is not capable of. He's not capable of running Nigeria. Nigeria is too big for him. I mean, he came the last time because he was a military. Babangida and co, you know, were involved. And when they saw that he wasn't fit, he don't even understand the economics of buying and selling, and he tried to fix prices and all those things. He doesn't understand certain things that work with commerce and simple economics. It took him 6 months to appoint his cabinet. And appointing this in this same cabinet, the same people, you know, when it was 6 months, some of his bootlickers and thought that maybe he's going to import people from the moon. At the end of the day, it was people who have question marks, those who ran away from PDP into APC. They're now baptized, and they started chasing others with EFC. They now turned good people. A lot of things has been happening in this government. I don't know if people are keeping records. EFCC has gone further to seize lots of cash. Where are this money? We should be asking EFCC. Billions seized, including, imagine, in Ikoyi, nobody. This is a country who will see millions and millions and millions of dollars. We just see it stashed away Nobody will claim. An agency of government will be coming out. They will be seizing this. So we only read it in the newspapers and hear it in the news. Billions have been seized. Billions. Still, people are hungry. There's no plan on how to fix infrastructures. There's no plan on industrialization. I gave them just one assignment. Buhari should declare national emergency on electrification. If he can just take that and say, look, before I leave this office, there will be 18 hours or even 12 hours electricity across the country. Nigerians will help him. But the man is daft. He cannot do anything. They're just there in eating money. The interest is oil money. He is the petroleum minister. They are oil gluttons. They're just interested in oil. Nothing more but oil. Why won't people be fed up in a system that doesn't care about them, a system that kills at will, a system that people keep gnashing their teeth, a system that people cannot afford to eat, a system that people run the economy on their own. It looks as if we have a government, but the government is just there, redundant, doing nothing. Ministers are not doing anything. Handful of people are running the government. This is Nigeria. They run the government. Ministers don't have access to president to even advise. That there's a propaganda going around that the man is not really Buhari. Sometimes these things are laughable, but Victor is still right. He's saying the shooting of armless citizens of the southeast country of Nigeria is the continuation of the civil war pogrom against the peaceful Biafrans. You see, this is what we are talking. You are shooting people from a section of the country, and you say you are in charge. There's a proverb in my place that say that a king is strong is because he has support. Chibozo Chukwuemeka is saying that the man in Nasarok is Jubril from Sudan. You know, there's a lot of conspiracy theory going on because a cabal is now running the Nigerian state, and these things keep happening. They don't want to professionalize leadership in the country. I mean, decentralized power. This thing happened under Yaradua. When Yaradua was sick, a cabal, he took Dora Akonyele, his information minister, to come out and say, look, enough of this drama and bullshit. This is what is happening. So this is why Buhari and co didn't want to make that mistake. He waited, and at the end of the day, he now used his fellow liars to fill up. That's why he was in London for over 100 years, 100 days, over 100 days. And they kept everywhere in tight, including his deputy. They checked him. They've now brought out his deputy today to say, I signed the contract of the Maikan to borrow billions of dollar that is being questioned at the moment, forgetting that, you know, this is a pastor. This is a redeemed pastor. They're even using him. Olajuwon Babatunde, the cabals must go. We, the youths, must chase the cabal away. Yes, Oluwajuwon, how will the cabal go? This is the problem we have in Nigeria. The problem we have in Nigeria is that, you know, it's very difficult to have a people's revolution in Nigeria, because Nigeria is peopled by different mentality, and these leaders have succeeded in causing division among Nigerians. They've succeeded in causing, for instance, now somebody was saying what Nnamdi Kanu started, if he has embraced all the Nigerians. I said no, it will not work, because they will say Omo Igbo, this is Igbo. If a Yoruba person does it, Igbos will have problem with that. The same, like okay, look at example of the whole thing is the way Buhari is running the government, in as much as past leaders did little or nothing. They tried federal representation, but Buhari just doesn't care. And people are defending him that he's appointing those he trusts. And, you know, in Nigeria, cabal has always risen to control affairs. They feel happy when people suffer. They feel happy when people come to beg. Even they will insult you on top of it. Get out, you church rats, poor person like you. And unfortunately, I look at Nigerians. They will curse you, and say you are poor, you are wallowing in poverty, abject penury, this and these same people cursing you are even eating your own money. These same people, Clementina and what God is someone who does not have good thing can't give good thing to people. So therefore, our president can't give good thing to the nation because he doesn't have a seed that is bad can't bear good fruit. That is the point. This is a summary of that. The summary of people understand the mood. I mean, I've always said it, irrespective of the fact that we want a Republic of Biafra. But if Nigeria is okay, it will silence every agitation. I mean, it will silence every agitation. If Nigeria is okay, people will shut up because there will be jobs, you know, for you. Industries will flourish. There will be productions everywhere. I have said it, even they should declare a national emergency on electrification in Nigeria and see what will happen. Because Nigeria is a country whereby 99% of the population doesn't depend on the government, especially those from southeast and south, even southwest, because southwest is divided. Some people are chopping the money, some are suffering. So those who are chopping the money are just taking other people and using Yoruba, and moving. And even in the north, they're saying one north. The average Hausa man doesn't have access to education. Jonathan went even far and built more universities in the north. Yet they are not grateful. Yet the leaders they want to crucify him. I said it then. The only way the military had a chance to fix Nigeria, but they didn't, because these same people were in stranglehold of the military. Because they cannot, if you give massive education there in over 10 years and make sure that some people are blocked from having access to governance, I'm telling you, in that 10 years and 15 years, there will be magic. Because go to North, many people, they don't even care about education because, you know, they're not encouraged. They're using Islam to hoodwink them, to make sure that, you know, they don't seek. You go to a village, you see the emir owns everything. The emir decides who must be rich and who will not. What they do, they build mosque, People go and do their tasbih, use the kettle, wash themselves. You know, they do the tasbih, go and pray and eat, pray and eat. You know, they depend solely on the few affluent members of the community, anointed by the emir and the powers that be. Then others are concerned. They are consigned to perpetual slavery, poverty, penury, and servitude. That is why if you go to the north, you see what I'm talking about. Immediately you step down from the bus in parks, you see kids begging. Come to Lagos and come to many urban centers in Nigeria. The most people that beg, are they not from northern Nigeria? Many suffer polio and all these things, all kinds of sicknesses, because there's lack of care. The government there doesn't care. They believe in impoverishing their people. Victor he said, if we as a people were able to survive the most horrific and destructive 3 years war on our Biafra land, then no amount of unjustifiable killings of this dictator can break our way. Exactly. This is why Buhari's onslaught is always against the Southeast. Because whatever happens, whatever the problem you have with the Igbos are championing something in Nigeria. They're championing good governance. They're championing the drive for prosperity. This is why Nigeria loves Igbos. This is why whatever happens, Nigeria wants Igbos. Nigeria wants Igbos more than the Igbos want Nigeria. This is not about arrogance. It's about the drive for prosperity. Because this is what every nation wishes for its people, that they prosper. This is what we need to talk about in Nigeria. How are we going to get up these moribund industries? How can we empower Nigerians to start manufacturing? What will make electrification 24 hours? You see, all the companies around the world will invade Nigeria. They will invade Nigeria. And I mean, laissez-faire economy, free economy. Let people come in as much as they will come in. They are more advanced in techno advancement. We will learn from that. We will still use laws, our internal laws, to help our people. There will be transfer of technology. You know, some of our people who are abroad will come back with their technical know-how to invest. I mean, you don't need that much capital to invest. You don't need that billions of dollars. With standby electricity, small-scale entrepreneurs will rise to get into serious manufacturing. There are many things to do, and Nigeria is the biggest market with its population. But it has to be organized. Whatever you are doing, even if you are manufacturing pen or distributing pen, things will flow for everybody. There will be riches for everybody. But you see, people derive joy in impoverishing others. And this is where the youth can come in. But unfortunately, the youth are now lily-livered. We don't have that kind of youth. We don't have that kind of youth. During the First Republic, check out the ages of Nigeria's nationalists. Check out their ages. Even the early leaders, what were the age, the average age? Then we have that kind of youth in Nigeria, but they're not thinking in that way. They're thinking on how they're going to buy the latest cars from America or from Great Britain or from Germany, forgetting about the fact that we can be building our own cars in Nigeria, forgetting the fact that we already have people who are doing that. And the social media has even given us the opportunity to look at people's talents. And this is a government that is very wicked, that they're not interested. When we say it, it looks as if we hate the Fulanis. No. But because of the fact that their leaders have subjected the Hausas and other Northerners to keep serving them. It's all about serving them. If they're not in charge, nothing will work. If they're not in charge, nothing will work. They've conquered the North. One North. One North. The average Northerner is afraid. Oluwajuwon Babatunde, so the solution is simple. Coming 2017, we should not vote for any cabal, irrespective of whom they are. The cabal got nothing to offer Nigerians. They are vampires. Yes, what you said, you've just made suggestion with a nice mind. But have you forgotten that they are now amassing wealth? You know, when I said it in my liberation gospel, it looked as there's something these people have been doing. They empower their people, appoint them to give them strategic appointments whereby they will be having pool of cash to draw with and be giving Nigeria stipend. You see how they cheat Nigerians, buying bags of rice, bags of salt, bags of paint. People will use it and vote out their future. That is what they do. That is one. Look at the way Buhari is using the Nigerian army. He's using the Nigerian army. They are at his whims and caprices. The army is not independent. It's not being run professionally because Buhari is a fundamentalist and the cabal around him, like Oluwajuwon said, they are vampires. Then they don't have the interest of the country at heart. I mean, if a minister cannot have access to the president, why is he a minister? You know, this is why, I love some countries. If that minister will just resign and give press statement. But unfortunately, you still see Nigerians who will come out and say, Kachuku, go and sit down. You are too greedy. I even saw an article. He's being greedy. Which kind of rubbish is it? Why should you? Abroad here, David Cameron resigned as Prime Minister because he lost the Brexit. To retain his dignity and self-respect, he tendered his resignation because he just lost a referendum vote and Theresa May came on his stead. Can that happen in Nigeria? People are just protesting that, look, they are tired of this country. They want their own country. Nothing is happening. And these guys were shot. Kano issue is in the court. I mean, is in the court of the land. And the same government who is in court because they are not winning the case, because the government is not articulate, because the government has no local standing on the case it wants to pursue, invaded and started shooting. You see, these are the things you look at. In the same, these things people like Buhari do, they think if Nigeria is together, that somebody will not rise up tomorrow and say, look, let us visit the past and sort out some mess. The way Buhari started his anti-corruption measures with Jonathan government, somebody can come and take it far, because this is what we have learned from Buhari. Somebody can come and decide to start from Gowon era, or Babangida era, or Basanjo's first time. The way they are appointing, look at a general manager of an NPC appointing, giving out contract, what billions of dollars. I don't know if this is lawful. Don't we have the National Assembly or the Senate? What is their job? Contract of such magnitude, billions. I mean, there are countries you will give that kind of amount, they will turn the table. I'm in the Republic of Ireland. Go investigate how much our island was loaned. But they were in recession. But they're coming out of recession. And you will feel the impact of their emerging out of recession. You will feel that impact. You see that the way things were during the recession, I mean, some years back, and today, it's not the same. You see that their jobs is coming back. They're announcing it. The statistics office, you know, they're giving, the government is priding is that, look at, we've created so and so many jobs. They will be putting up infrastructures, you know, putting up policies that will have direct effects on the people. And the people will feel it. They just had their budget yesterday or 2 days ago, and they added things, you know. Everything is open. They're not running a government of a secret government. This one in Nigeria will give contract worth billions of dollars. Citizens won't even know. They won't even know that these kind of things are going on. This is why people are agitating for the Republic of Biafra. This is why sections of the country are not happy. This is why we are not happy with Buhari. This is why Buhari is the most incompetent person that have ever emerged. And this is why Buhari's army can never be trusted. It can be trusted because your killer can never be your healer. Thank you for listening to me. And we look forward to more from my Liberation Gospel. You can share it if you want to, and send me topics and you want me to talk about, because I want this to be more interactive. It's all about the betterment of everybody. Whatever happens, those agitating for Biafra are doing that because the system is not working, because they are frustrated with, when we say snail speed in Nigeria, it will be as if there's even speed. There's no progress. I mean, there's no progress, whereby the youth have no future, whereby people who are living, go to the universities. People spend 10 years in the university. I was an activist. I was a student union leader. Many spend years in the university. They don't want to graduate because those who have graduated have no job. Why must we sleep? Why must girls sleep around to get jobs? I mean, why must that happen? Why must Nigerians travel to the Sahara Desert? Many, uncountable, dying on that sandy, hot place without even anything to drink when they thirst. Why must we embark on such a suicidal mission and we still keep quiet? Why must the Nigerian army be used to settle scores? An army that is supposed to be a professional arm of the state that is non-aligned. They were sent to shoot Shiites because they believe in a different ideal of Islam. Why must the army be sent to shoot protesters? Because they said they are seeking their right to self-determination. See, Buhari has just messed the country up. And that is why, whether you believe it or not, Nigeria is not the same. Nigeria is not the same. And that's why I said Buhari's army, your killer, can never be your healer. Please, this is the most